Yeah, sure, it's micro module. Okay. What do you say, Shimano? Was the other one micro module? Do not tell Tommy Tsunami that I did this. And whatever you do, don't do this to your friends' reels. I want Tommy Tsunami to find this out about 18 feet in on his first drop of the season. Just let's keep this between me and you, okay? Gentlemen, ladies, anyone in between, I welcome you all. And today, we're going to have ourselves some fun. We're going to try to keep ourselves out of trouble. And we're going to compare the ins, the outs, the googly bits to the brand spanking new 2025 Shimano Tranx 300. This is the HD variant, B. And my friends, it's been a minute since we've talked about a Tranx. It's been almost 7 years. It was one of my first videos that I ever put out on YouTube where we took the original Tranx, compared it to all of its competition, spun it around a table. We had about 600 parts. And we did basically a show and tell, and I let you decide which you felt was the best of the bunch. I was very high on the reel when it came out. I enjoyed my time fishing it, fished it quite extensively. I've fished the 500 for years, the 200 for years. But I will tell you this, shortly after that video debuted, I found myself liking the externally adjustable brake of the Lexa series, simply due to convenience. Whether it's a magnetic brake or centrifugal brake, I like being able to adjust the brake on the fly without taking the side plate off. Which is why I'm very excited that Shimano's come out with a new Tranx. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get cracking, my friends. This is the Googly Bits, 7.6 to 1 gear ratio in the HG. You have 18 pounds of max drag. That's a little, we might be able to get there on a full spool without any dig-ins. You're probably looking about 15 usable, 14 usable. 12.2 ounces, which is average, 5 plus 1 ball bearings, and a 41-inch retrieve rate. And you can take a look here. That's the capacity numbers. We'll go ahead and get a real world number, and I'll post it up on the back channel to let you guys know what you can expect. And yeah, that's basically all you got to look out for in terms of the Googly Bits. They use Core Solid, they use X Protect, they use Hagane, whatever you want, all those buzzwords. We don't care about buzzwords here, my friends. I do care about my Boker Joe Mangiafico Brook, though. Boker Joe, thank you, my friend. You're an artist. Let's see what we got here. We got a manual. We got a manual. Some bathroom reading. We got a schematic. And I'm looking for some things that are new, different, exciting, unique. And you can see right center screen, I'm staring right at there. Did they change anything with the waterproofing of the clutch? I see extra Belleville washers, which weren't present on the original. I see the seal up top here, but I don't see any rubber gasketing above the clutch. Yeah, now we're really curious. All right, we'll go back to that never. And more stuff that I guarantee you I will never read. We have specifications. Looks like the gear ratio in the 5.81 variant is, I will say, 0.4 ounces lighter, 10 grams. Is 10 grams really 0.4 ounces? Okay. Just mainly because the drive gear is going to be smaller. That big brass drive gear is going to be a little heavy. Power Pro yardage, look at that. 215 yards of 40. Could have put it on the side of the box. Okie dokie. What else do we got in the box? Doesn't look like there's anything much. Bang. Go ahead. Get a good look. It's going to be a minute before you see her again reassembled, that's for sure. So a few things right out of the gate. They nixed the blue handle for more neutral gray, which is cool, right? You have a similarly designed handle knob to its predecessor, long strand carbon composite, plasticky outside, aluminum center cap, fairly neutral flat across here, maybe a slight inward taper. No complaints from me on that one. Clicky drag knob, or drag star, O-ring for tension here, and no clicky. I'm assuming it's an O-ring. That's pretty tight. Why does Shimano do that with these externally adjustable brake dials? Now, if we're being honest, I've already opened this reel up. I've had this reel for about a week now, and I lubricated that quite heavily when I first got it because it was barely able to budge. So tight, in fact, that if you were fishing in any type of rain, your hands get fish slime on them, your hands get a little soft, not even pruny. We're not talking fishing in snotty conditions where you're just sopping wet. The only way you can possibly get this to budge when it was brand new is by digging your fingernail in there. And if your hands were soft and sopping, your nail wouldn't even be able to budge that. And I hit this with a bunch of Corrosion X, just let it sit. And it's been sitting there for almost a week, maybe even a full week. And it's loosened up a little bit. And I have some Bantams that have that same style adjustment, and over time, they've loosened up. So, yeah, is it a major ding out of the box? Yeah, I'd say it's an inconvenience. Over time, though, if history repeats itself, I'm pretty confident it'll be more user-friendly. And I guess with more use, it may loosen up. At least in the beginning of the day, if you work it back and forth, it'll be a little looser. Maybe if it sits for a couple days, it might get tighter. But nothing you can do about that at this junction, especially after I lubricated. It doesn't seem to have improved all that much. But you have that core solid side cap. Is it the second coming and evolution of bait casters? There's a little bonus that you get with this design that we'll get into once we open up the reel. I'll go ahead and pop the side plate. It should rotate northward, like so. And a little trick for you guys that are playing around with these reels and you're not accustomed to this design, whether you have braid on the spool or it's empty, rotate it so it's north to south, and then push the spool up. Don't try to pry it out because you'll end up just not coming out straight and it becomes finicky. And do take note that north to south pretty much bisects the T and Tranx at 90 degrees, close to it, although it is slightly off kilter right there. So, and when you're going to reattach the side plate, take note of the little nub right there, and there's also a little nub there because you want to make sure that it indexes properly here, because there's tension from an O-ring in here, which can kind of make it a little bit difficult to find find home. So you just want to make sure you eyeball it first. That's just a suggestion, because what will end up happening, if you try to locate it after it's kind of been pressed in there, you can rotate this, and now nothing is in alignment, right? Because this has to be kind of located properly, and this does as well. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be somewhat located correctly. So yeah, that's a thing, all right. Then you have yourself the centrifugal brake. That's how Shimano's been doing it for a minute on their variable adjusting, their externally adjustable brakes. And on the Tranx 300, you're met with, if there's 100 pins, there's one. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 8 pins. Okay. Mine, when I first got it, and I played around with these just to see how easy they were to turn on and off. And it's pretty straightforward, right? These are now all on. This is how it came from the factory. All 8 brake pins were active. but you want to make sure you're gentle with these and you push inward. You don't want to push from the top in because you don't want to grab the black retaining ring portion. You don't want to break them. Not saying you're gonna, but you just want to be a little careful. Now, let me get the spool out of here. And before we look any closer in here, you'll notice that this reel's missing something over there. You have a level wind, but no bits and bobs over here. That's kind of unique, and we'll dive more into that in a little bit. And then you have the don't touch me shmoo on that rubber seal. It's a coating that likes to repel water and shed water, and raw water tends to beat up and roll off. What it ends up doing is, as you're retrieving, right, and the water on your line's coming through the level wind and it's spraying all over the place, it loves to kind of wick behind the spool flange. And instead of finding its way into where the pinion is, it tends to not get by that seal, because you can see, come on, focus. You can see it's almost like a mushroom cap, kind of like one of those little glass domes on power lines. So it does a good job preventing water from getting up from behind, out, around, and down. And you'll also notice a nice little addition here, right? This is their, I think they call it VBS, and it's a cool technology, and it was present on the previous generation. And you can see that same spring in there, right? What that'll end up doing is, when you disengage the thumb bar to make your cast, you're going to see that pinion drop away, right? Now the spool's going to float. Now, a lot of guys like to adjust your spool tension so that it provides a little bit of pressure, a little bit of resistance. I like leaving mine open so there's a little bit of side to side, right? And when I test it, I'll use Daiwa as an example, right? Hear that knocking? I usually go until that knocking disappears. And then I'll back it off a hair, just so it's so barely present, because I don't want any interaction from that. I want the brakes on my thumb to do the job. What's cool about this is, anytime that there's zero interaction from that spool tension adjustment knob, there's never ever going to be any drift laterally. So if you back off your spool tension, that spring is going to keep that outer race of the bearing a little bit tensioned and keep the spool from drifting back and forth. It just adds, it gives you that warm and cozy feeling when you cast. And then that kind of goes away with the centrifugal brakes, because magnetic brakes are generally in feel a little smoother, but that's personal preference. All right, I fish them all. I enjoy them all. Outside of that, we have an all-plastic thumb bar, the aluminum drag knob, metal, plastic cap here, gold titanium nitride coating there. Okay, let's go ahead. And do we need to read anything? You got micro module. We'll see what that looks like on this reel. And we'll dig right in. I'm excited, guys. It's been a bit since I've been on the YouTubes, and it's kind of cool because I've been taking reels apart just to feed the need and feed the curiosity beast. But now we have a lot of new reels that I'm really looking forward to see how they compare to the old. When I was putting out content regularly, it was tough to find things that piqued my interest, other than just, okay, I haven't taken this one apart, let's go ahead. Oh. But this one genuinely had me excited. When I heard this reel was coming out, I don't know how long ago I heard, but it's been a minute. We genuinely wanted to get our hands on it. So I actually ended up buying this one. She retails at a zero cost increase of $299, $300. That's pretty reasonable. Everything seems to have risen in cost. And we have a Tranx that looks to have seen some upgrades, and I'm looking at whether it's an upgrade or not, something that's missing. Once I get my right hand out of the way, bang. Right in here. So, on the previous iteration, Shimano had actually done something a little unique. They added a seal there. Now, was it the Repeller of Worlds seal? No. All it did was right on the drag star. Right, so you could see on that inside edge here, again, it still fits, right? I can go like this and it's just going to slowly fall off. No, it catches, right? So you had the seal on the top and you had that little gasket on the bottom. And we'll call them seals, right? They're nothing restrictive or anything like that, but they still have an impact. Let's see. Oh, we're going to leave that there. Oh well. So I'm going to say, I wonder if it fits here. Put it in there. Anything to keep any bulk water out of the clutch is a good thing. Now, if they're omitting that, I'm kind of curious as to the reasoning why. Did they find that over time water would get in and would sit there? Very, very possibly. But we don't know for sure. The only thing we know is it was on the old one, but it's not on the new one. And beyond that, we got a little ways to go yet. Now, it's very interesting. Over the years, Shimano has seemingly done whatever they can do to hide screws or not show them when you're looking at it from the outside. And with the Tranx, Daiwa has beaten them. This is the Lexa TW. Not to be confused with the Lexa Win, the Lexa HD, or any other variant. So this was the Lexa Win, and just want to make that abundantly clear. Anything wind gripped in fishing, throw it in the garbage. It's crap. It will go slick over time. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't bring it back once it goes slick. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible material. It's my least favorite handle material on anything. Rant over. So this is the Lexa Win. Great reel, one of my favorites. It's probably what I put the most time on over the years. And it's held its own. Lexa TW is a newer acquisition. I've used it less frequently, but it's held up. Fewer fish, fewer big fish, but it's pretty sweet winch, if you ask me. Looks nice too. All right, so we're going to go ahead and here are our cupped washers. So if you look here, on the previous Tranx 300 400, they had none. So it was basically the drag star just pressing down on the clutch sleeve to compact the drag stack. You had a quick ramp up, but you didn't have a lot of range. The cupped washers, what they do is, as they squeeze down, that spring tension is applying pressure to the drag stack, and you get a little bit more range. Without that, like you had on the original Tranx, it would go from like 0 drag at all, whatever, and then it would ramp up to, say, 6 pounds very quickly, and then a quarter turn or a half turn you're at almost max. Because the only compression that's occurring is of the carbon drag washers themselves. That's the only range you get, which is just the natural compression. Now, this, my friends, is the drag stack. Ernie, just putting it out there. I've been using these for years. They are always, always, always within arm's reach. One of the only tools besides a screwdriver, my Knepex pliers wrench, which is this guy here, that I would consider essential for taking apart fishing reels. The bearing bad tool, bearing tweezers. Most useful thing in the world. One of the best tools ever made, ever. So it looks like we got ourselves a fairly similar drag stack to the outgoing model, right? Greased carbon fiber, stainless steel washers. And this is the Micro Module drive gear. All right, so if we take a close look here. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can get a better vantage point. I might even take some still photos of this after the fact. All right. I mean, this is the lefty gear set, by the way, the one in the back. Okay, let's see how these match up now. Yeah, sure, it's micro module. Okay. What do you say, Shimano? Was the other one micro module? What was the other one? Was this one? Did this one have micro module written on it? Couldn't tell you. Either way, under load. And again, under load, I've only put my thumb on the spool and turned the handle against it, so I can't really say if it's the butteriest thing in the world. This is just our initial tear down, just covering the differences. So far, I liked what I felt. So it looks like we have a composite pinion gear. It's not stainless in terms of the teeth. Doesn't fit. It feels weighty, but it doesn't have that stainless steel heft, if you will, or solid brass heft. We do have the redundant backup anti-reverse dog present. This is fairly straightforward and standard. We've seen that before. And you can see the original Tranx 300. The gear composition remains unchanged, right? The pinion on the Daiwa and the drive gear, you know, you have your more traditional, you know, helical cut. You can see that beveling, right? That's the Daiwa drive gear and the Daiwa pinion gear. And this feels not of aluminum, silver in nature, so we're going to say it's some type of stainless steel alloy, right? Pretty chunky. Let's see how they differ where they grab the spool and the spool pin. Similar, but the Daiwa, again, a little chunkier than the Shimano. I've never seen an issue with the pinion where it grabs the spool pin on a Shimano Tranx, nor have I seen one on any Daiwas, whether they're brass or stainless or whatever. Just showing you. Get the dogs out. Now, if we look at the original Tranx frame, now you may think this is a girl reel, but you need to remember that it's a Tranx. That's a joke that didn't land. Let's take a gander. Same part number. We still have the seal here at the thumb bar lever right here. And if you look, it's going to do the same thing that the old one did. It will help, prevent large debris from getting in. You can see right there. That's the window open. And now we shoved something in the open window. All right, so it's not fully sealed, but again, big chunky stuff. Helps a little bit, right? Any water and debris mitigation is a good thing. Now if we look here, this is the worm shaft, right, for the pinion, which is metallic. And one of the things I was curious about on this was did they go to a plastic of sorts, and they did. Now they've been doing that for a while on all their reels, moving away from the metallic metal worms in favor of, we'll just call it a nylon. It doesn't appear to be glass reinforced because I would be able to feel that just by pressing my awl in there. You could feel the glass fibers kind of fractured just by acute pressure. And they don't want to do that because the nylons, the Teflons, they almost kind of self-lubricate. And the pawl itself is still metallic. So for me anyway, no harm, no foul. If you bind up or jam up in this area, could it cause some damage? It's one of those things where with a metallic level wind worm, if you jam up and bind up, the second you nick it, it's game over. These type of plastics do have that threshold where they can sort of self-heal a little bit. I'm not saying that they're made out of magic, but you kind of get that elasticity. And Shimano does another cool little thing. Let's see if this screwdriver works, otherwise I'm going to have to grab the other one. They go a step further, and on the drive gear that runs the oscillation, instead of it keying, where they would broach this gear, there's basically a spring-loaded double pawl that rides inside here. And those pawls, see how I can kind of make it go like that? It allows it to kind of, it's almost like a shearing fail safe, where it goes under a specific amount of load and it'll just click over without doing damage to the level wind. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. It's a nice kind of, we got your back kind of deal. So you're not going to do any damage, or it's less prone to damage. And they didn't have it on this, right? So if your finger gets stuck in here and jams up, it's just going to crush or damage the pawl or worm. At least with this, it won't be able to drive this any further because this gear here is going to kind of go limp, right? It's going to fail here, but it's repeatable. It's not a one and done. And you do have a little O-ring seal right here to protect the ball bearing and the whale here, which is one of the most sensitive spots besides the anti-reverse bearing on any conventional or bait cast reel. So if this whole area is the same, and I'm seeing something similar here, what I think Shimano does better than any other brand on the market, it's the detent on the, we'll call it a bail trip, the thumb bar return. Right, so you got a high tension, high tenacity spring here, and then you have a detent and pawl that goes from here. It's a spring-loaded pawl that will find its recess. So when you push your thumb bar down, the detent shoots in, adds that additional catch, and it's very difficult to overcome accidentally. Big positive. With a light handle knob such as this, it's not really going to get a lot of that forward momentum and kick and trip, especially since there's a few stops. It's not like it's a 2-point trip where that handle's going to get momentum to swing around and then trip. Very, very seldom will you ever have an issue with premature bail trip. I know it's 2025. Premature bail trip affects 90% of men out there, but Shimano's got you covered. Outside of that, we're limiting ourselves in this location here to, it's a one-sided system. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this. I'm going to pull the pawl out first because this is different, right? We haven't seen this on a saltwater reel. Big ups to Shimano for them making the pawl directly accessible. A lot of guys out there make you want to jump through hoops to get at that pawl or to get at that flat fastener. And the handle feels like it's the handle shaft feels like stainless. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go ahead now and remove that. Cool. So they have a little plasticky style cap right there that retains that stainless crossbar that supports the level 1 from going forward and back. And then you have, we'll just call this the worm module. Looks like there's a little O-ring seal here just to keep shmoo and debris out from this side, if you will. Yeah, I guess I can do that. And then you have a pin here, a little retaining clip that we're never going to take out. Don't even ask me. Don't even ask me nicely. Don't even ask me rudely in the comments to take that clip off because I don't want to. And kind of want to see on this clip here if there's any water mitigation. Nope, just a bushing, is that it? I will tap here for 20 minutes just to not have to deal with the headache of putting that clip back on. All right, so we got a bushing. Beyond that, anyone's guess. And guys, I think for the most part, we're able to refer back to the original video for anything else because I don't see any changes. We'll kick this open here, right? You can see the spring-loaded pawl there, right? You're going to watch. All right, I'm going to move this down. You can see that pawl jump. See it? Cool. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I am very excited to see how she throws. And when I use my large low-profile reels, I'm using them on the surf. Like I'm plugging. I'm throwing, you know, these guys, right? Anybody out there that is a surf caster knows that outside of a bank sinker, not too many things fly further than this guy, right? So 140 yard casts with the 2 5/8 ounce Super Strike is not an otherworldly achievement. I like the sensitivity that almost the direct connection to the spool offers me when I'm throwing glide baits. Here's one I did right here. All right, this is a Tsunami Twitch bait. This is the bigger one. There's a smaller one right here. All right, throw these all day long, right? Not to sound too salesy on you. You buy any surf plugs in the collection link down below, you get a free tail flag. Drop a treble, save a striper, fly a flag. Look at that. Tie it along so you can trim them. 1.8 millimeter stainless or corrosion resistant wire, right? Left long, right? Because I wanted to simulate as much mass to match as closely a Siwash that was removed in favor of a tail flag, or a treble that was removed in favor of a tail flag. Heavy epoxy coated. Got that flashaboo going on, and it's real natural bucktail. You buy a hydro minnow, you buy a twitch bait, you buy a super strike, you buy an SP minnow, right? We'll match up the most appropriate color. Get them now, while supplies last. At my website, Goose Hummock Shops is our brick and mortar, and themightyfish.com is the old website. Check it out. Let's go ahead now and talk about the spool. So we have somewhat appear to be changes. Okay, so this is where things are going to get a little bit different, a little bit interesting. Interesting for me, boring and inconsequential for you possibly, but I'm a casting distance nerd, and I want to see what we're looking at in terms of how these spools compare in dimensionality. So we got 42 and 63. Same. But we're look like we'll go from the outside of the flange. Sorry, looking through the viewfinder there. 28.4 outside flange, 28.4, and then we're going to go on the inside. $21.7. $24. Cool. So it's a little bit narrower. It's a little bit narrower. I don't know if they made the spool deeper because this one's got line on it. Whether they did or not, it's inconsequential. I mean, I want to get this is not like a BFS reel where you want minimal mass added to the spool, the flywheel, to get easy startup. I want more difficult startup, and I want more maintained inertia, right? I want the spool to want to keep going. So more line on that kind of helps. What it would do is mean less aggressive angles to the level wind, whether line is being pulled out by the fish or line is being casted and coming at sharper angles. Is it a huge difference? I don't know. We have to cast it. It's just, okay, so it might be a better caster, but if it's narrower, maybe it's gonna the arbor of line is gonna shrink, meaning it's gonna be a feed rate that's lower, which means maybe I can go down more in the brakes, right? And I'll be able to fine tune the brakes a little bit more. So if I can fine tune the brakes down a little bit, I should be able to eke out some more distance. I don't know, it's all theoretical. We don't know. I could definitely tell you that the Lexa TW400, while it casts smooth, feels a little overbraked. It's not like the other Lexa 300, and I don't know why. This thing I can buzz a long distance. This one just, maybe it's the sensation of speed because of the interaction with the level wind that I'm not getting with the T-wing here. And it just doesn't feel as bouncing off the rev limiter. Maybe it's just a sensation because I haven't really done any measured field throwing beyond, what I've done years ago. But it doesn't it doesn't feel like I'm casting 150 yards with this reel. The standard Lexa 300 with the narrower spool, I don't know. We're talking theoretical and feelings, not facts, right? Big fan of the TW400, big fan of the standard 300. I may go out and get a 300 TW just to side-by-side these, because I'm curious now. You know, Tranx 400, Tranx 300B was not on my my bingo card, and now all of a sudden it's making me a bit frothy, and I want to know what she can do and how she compares even more than just, you know, show and tell with parts. So guys, let me know down below what kind of questions you guys have. It's been a minute. I'm happy to answer as many as I can, and I will be around. This is just the first of many. I have a lot of content coming out. Going to be putting a lot of time on the bench. There's a lot of new stuff that I want to cover. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't covered that I wanted to. And now there's all these shills on TikTok telling you that plastic reels are metal and the handing rods are phenomenal, and there's 12-year-olds shilling for commission on the TikTok shop. All of them need to get knocked down a peg when they can't even pronounce the name of the brand, and they're trying to paint that Alphabet Soup brand in the best light possible that they've never used other than taking it out of the box. Some of them even just tell them their friends bought it and they don't even have it, and they're trying to make you buy it. So, yeah, them know-nothings got to get knocked down a peg. I'm going to have fun doing that. Got a Cast King video coming up. A little bit of skeet recium. Never hurt nobody. Going to do some rod bends, rod breakages, casting distances, testing. I got lots of stuff coming. So we are back. If you guys are going to be at any of the boat shows in the season, this is going to date the video. This is going to be mid-February film date. I got Atlantic City Boat Show coming up. Then we got Rhode Island. We got Rissa, right? And then we got the New Jersey Edison show. So if you guys are going to be there, come and check out the Goose Hummock booth. I'll be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but come and see me, say hi nonetheless, shake my hand. I want to shake yours. And until next time, guys, tight lines. I'll see you soon.